Wow, what a week. America and Iran were sorting out their differences and repatriating troops and all the rest of it, and it's still a big mess down there. And then someone went up and fired cruise missiles, knocking out about 50% of Saudi Arabia's oil refining capacity for what looks like months, so nobody's really saying what the extent of the damage is. As you can see, President Trump is trying to avoid re-engaging militarily with Iran.
I will tell you that was a very large attack, and it could be met with an attack many, many times larger very easily by our country, but we're going to find out who definitively did it first.
Can we clarify, Mr. President, so you said that you think that Iran is responsible for the attack. Do you think that...
I didn't say that. Why do you say that? I said that we think we know who it was, but I didn't say anybody. But certainly it would look to most like it was Iran, but I did not say it the way you said. Go ahead.
Do you think it was launched from Iran as the second time?
You're going to find out in great detail in the very near future. We have the exact locations of just about everything. You're going to find out at the right time.
Everybody's saying it's Iran, but to be honest with you, I don't see any particular reason why it wouldn't be Yemen. The cruise missiles are probably Iranian in origin, which is going to cause issues down there.
تأتي هذه العملية في إطار حقنا المشروع والطبيعي في الرد على جرائم العدوان وحصاره المستمر المستمر على بلدنا منذ 5 سنوات. نعد النظام السعودي أن عملياتنا القادمة ستتوسع أكثر فأكثر وستكون أشد إيلاما مما مضى.
Anyway, the oil shock that we're having anyway is continuing, and it ain't getting any better. But what people are really focusing on now is war, and it's triggered huge demonstrations right the way across the planet. People are out there in the millions saying no war. Governments need to focus on the economy, getting people back to work, because things are still miserable. The economy is still tanked, and this latest oil shock damaged oil prices again, but they were already extremely high, 20% rise overnight in the spot price of oil. But most people can't afford to buy oil anyway, and rationing is now in place, so it's kind of protected us. America and Canada are fairly good net producers of oil. The big issue is, of course, that the world relies on Saudi Arabia crude, sweet crude, to actually mix a lot of the oils that we produce up here, because our oils are pretty heavy. So this is going to have a huge effect, but I'm not sure where it's going to go.
In New York City, those opposed to war chanted, "We need jobs, we need peace, US out of the Middle East." Greek communists took to the streets of Athens to demonstrate outside the US embassy. At the Incirlik airbase in Turkey, a key strategic site for US attack planes, Turks called on their government not to wage war. We should not allow Turkey to attack to protect US interests. It's not right that thousands of civilians will be killed.
Big Ben tolled as the huge crowd marched to stop the countdown to war. A seemingly endless current of marchers.
In Sydney, more than 200,000 demonstrators crammed into Hyde Park before bringing the city to a standstill.
The crowd here in New York City is quite larger than they had expected. We know right now that they are blocking off from 52nd Street all the way down to 72nd Street on First Avenue north of the United Nations.
More than 1 million, say police, on the streets of the Eternal City.
But subsequent to and possibly related to all of the large demonstrations, people have been trying to kill Trump all week, and they're not succeeding, which is good. I'm not a big fan of President Trump, but to be honest with you, right now the last thing we need is an assassination of a president. That would throw instability into the winds. I mean, the government, all governments are pretty much hamstrung by economy right now anyways.
There he is. There's the beast. Oh my gosh. Look at that car that just came out of the woods.
Assassinate Trump was underway. Without warning, the man went for the officer's gun, trying to take it away, only to be quickly subdued.
We love our police.
The arrest caused little commotion, but authorities now say Michael Sanford, 19, allegedly told the Secret Service this was an attempt to shoot and kill Trump.
I guess I have to do it myself. I know it's Thank you for the warning. I was ready for him, but it's much easier if the cops do it. Don't
Well, you can say what you like about the Donald. He's got balls of steel. 3 attempts in 1 week. Yeah, people are really mad, and it's getting worse, and there's no end in sight. Unemployment rate's rumoured to be about 8 to 10%, but who really knows? All I know is people like me who are still in work have really suffered in terms of basic pay cuts and increased workload, and I've watched a lot of people be laid off. I think the unemployment rate in Toronto must be hitting 20–25%. Of course, that's resulted in a lot of homeless. People didn't have much reserve to start with. Me and Kitty are lucky we have some reserve, but most people don't, and a lot of people are literally living in parks right now. You know, and it's September, and the weather's going to get really cold up here soon, so people get pretty angry.
Go ahead with our process. You are welcome to hold your signs. You are welcome to protest. You cannot impede what we are going forward with. So we're going to have to ask you to move out of the front gate.
Can we go to your guys' house and take a shower, officers? And get some food?
For your violent, abusive, unconstitutional behavior. How many lawsuits this year? Add this one on. Add it on.
This show of force is being met by community resistance, with people saying, hey, we have a right to be here, there's no shelter for us otherwise, and what are you going to do? Homeless people have gathered here because they've been kicked out of a lot of other places, and given the opportunity to be in one place, they have been able to accumulate a few necessities of life.
Probably back out to the streets where I was, moving 3 or 4 times a day, playing what we call the homeless shuffle, and that's where the county cops, the sheriffs, will send you to the city area, and that's black and white, and the city cops will send you over to the sheriff's area. They like to play that homeless shuffle game a lot.
Oh, how can you stand here and defend this?
Yeah, wait till orders and
What's my
Get out of here.
You don't like my tone? Arrest me for my tone.
Get the fuck off me, boy! The fuck off me!
There's no shelters left, there's nothing left really. Everything's just closed down because of the economy. And if it hasn't closed down because churches are doing it, they're just stuffed to capacity and they fill up as soon as they open. And the street riots are getting worse and worse. This is one from the States, New York.
We got sold out. We got sold out.
Occupy Wall Street Journal, 5 o'clock Times Square. Don't want to join us. Don't want to join us.
Come here, buddy. Come here. All right. No, I'm Seth. Okay. Bye. Join us! Join us! Get up! Get down! Democracy in this town. Get up! Get down! Democracy in this town. Get up! Get down! Democracy in this town. Please remain on the sidewalk. This is what a police state looks like. This is what a police state looks like. Don't touch me! Back up and I won't touch you! Back up! You want to go too? Come join us in occupation city.
People feel very, very angry. They're not seeing their governments or the corporations doing anything constructive to get them back to work and to help them live their lives. And the expectation in 2019 is that people will have comfortable, good lives. A lot of people no longer have internet because they can't afford the bills. It's devastating. I don't know where it's going to go. I really don't. It's pretty horrific. Anyway, I have to get back to work because I've been called in again, because Toronto, like pretty much everywhere else in Canada, well, more than most people, we're having a massive upsurge in gun violence. There's a lot of gang-related violence going on. I guess the gangs are feeling the squeeze, so they're starting to squeeze each other. We're having massive shootings, like almost, well, every night now, which in Canada we're not used to. And it's overwhelming the system. Everybody's systems are overwhelmed. Anyway, you guys stay safe this week. Hope things are starting to take a turn for the better. But with the Saudi Arabia oil thing, hopefully again, America won't make the mistake of attacking on by land. I'm going to guess they're going to hit them with cruise missiles. They're going to hit somebody. Either Yemen targets, which they've been hitting anyway for the past 5 years and it hasn't worked, or they'll hit Iranian targets, which will just make Iran even more angry. It's escalating. People are really angry everywhere. Nobody likes the government, nobody's happy, and everybody's very, very tired and very, very miserable. It's difficult to move around, it's hard to pay bills, bills are getting bigger and bigger, and there's no end in sight as yet. Anyway, take it easy. This fictional presentation was brought to you by Bad Terrier Films.